All right. Well, since it's always a hot topic of conversation, we are going to dive a little bit today into keto. You know, listen, I'm not going to go over the entire framework of it. There's a lot of you who have done it, who have maybe tried it or think you tried it. And recently we got hit with a question with one of our VIPers regarding, her following a keto plan, which basically the question boiled down to this: am I doing it right? And the reason why I wanted to talk about keto mistakes is because it is way too easy for people to make mistakes. Keto was something that we followed, going back, I don't know what, 4 years now, 4 years. And, everything, it started off hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden the results started to peter out. So why don't you give everybody just a little bit of, your insight into when we started doing it, what you experienced, and what you think that the major mistake was that you made.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, hey guys, if you've ever done keto before, just drop us a keto so we know we're on the same page. And I love what actually you said. People think they do keto, and that I think is an important thing that maybe we could do a second video on. But I think a lot of people they think they did keto, but you didn't actually do keto. We'll get into that. But we started off, I mean, listen, keto is a lot of work and it's a lot of prep. For me, it was a lot of time in the kitchen. I did enjoy eating way heavier, richer foods, keto bagels and bacon and fat bombs and all of that stuff. But I think initially, like totally leaned out my stomach. Like I bounced back from my third pregnancy. So that was our second son, Grayson, really, really quickly. Felt good. All the things were great. But as I would probably say maybe like a year and a half, 2 years in, I started to notice like I wasn't as lean. I wasn't as tight as I had been. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this the drop off point? But a couple things had happened. I don't know where you want me to go with this, but I was eating a ton of nuts. I was doing all the fat bombs. So that's like, your coconut oil, chocolate, cacao powder, peanut butter, lots of peanut butter, no sugar peanut butter. But yeah, I definitely noticed that like in pictures and stuff, like my face was a little bit rounder. My body was not as tight as it had been. And at that point I was like, all right, Mike, what do we do next? Right. Because he is the expert in this space. And so we have a couple of people, Keto Atkins and South Beach. So I feel you.
All right. Well, listen, first, the question that was posed to me by Suzanne was, hey, this is how I've been following it. And honestly, everything that she was doing was right on point, up to the, eating 30 grams or less of carbohydrates per day. And with those carbohydrates coming predominantly from vegetables, we're not talking loading up on grains or, 30 grams of sugar. I mean, the whole idea is to keep this very low sugar. And that is one of the big benefits of a ketogenic type diet. Totally. Is just that you get that sugar level down, right? It drops your blood glucose, it drops your insulin, and that is where the initial fat loss tends to take place. We preach all the time the importance of getting your insulin down in order to stimulate fat loss. And I think that's where the initial kick for a lot of people come, outside of also just probably dropping a bunch of junk that you've been eating because now it's not on your plan. You're like, oh, I guess I can't have processed. That, right? So you do that, you're going to automatically see results. And the thing is that, when you get deep into keto, what winds up happening over time, and I think this was our experience as well, is that you start to pay less attention to your protein and almost too much attention to fat.
It's true.
Because you have so much freedom with fat. I mean, listen, true ketogenic dieting, it's 70% of your calories are coming from fat. That's a significant number of calories from fat. But here's the challenge that people run into unknowingly, is that when you take in fat, your body stores fat. When you take in carbohydrates, your body will use some of those carbohydrates and then store the rest as fat. When you take in protein, your body automatically says, hey, my muscles can utilize this. Let's start using it. Whatever's left over gets converted to sugar and then stored as fat eventually. All right. So that's the general science. I know Corey Beth doesn't want me going down this road too deep.
No, it's
you're gonna lose a mic.
No. That was very good. Let him know if that was good in the comments. That was great.
And so what winds up happening with fat is like we store it and then our body has to work to utilize it. But the challenge with keto is that if you get into too much of a routine of eating too much fat, eventually what happens is your body says, yes, I'm using fat for energy. This is great. But you're still consuming more of it than your body could use. So the rate of your consumption and the rate of your body's usage is not in alignment. So the way that we've rectified, and I would say that this is, generally speaking, the Pure Physique plan is a generally low carbohydrate diet, right? taking all the junk, all the processed stuff out. But instead of focusing on high fat, we tend to focus on high protein. And that is a much smarter thing to do, especially for those of you who are resistance training, and especially if you're resistance training with us, you know how important this is. But in order to accelerate that fat, you have to not get rid of fat, right? We're not going back to the 80s and doing low fat diets, but you do need to significantly keep that fat under control.
Yeah.
So there's a right amount, and then there's the right types, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think prioritizing protein for anyone is a good thing. And then, you know, I when people are like, I don't know if I can eat that much protein, like from the right sources, you actually can. You absolutely can. You know, we do it. Our clients do it. Our clients' friends do it. Our clients' husbands do it, and they lose fat, which is amazing. But prioritizing protein as the primary, I mean, we got all the P's going on here. We got Dr. Seuss in the house. It really helps us to bring down cravings, to stabilize our blood sugar and feel full. You feel satiated. I think with the fat, it's rich and it tastes delicious, especially even though there's no sugar in it, like that rich cacao, like you want to eat more of it. When it's peanut butter, you want to eat more of it. With protein, your body will like intuitively eat the right amount of it. You cannot overeat chicken, eggs, yogurt, protein shakes. Like there really is a cutoff. Whereas when you're dabbling in nuts with some salt on it, I mean, that's such a, it's like a craving, snacky, picky, noshy, you know, or like you can find it very easy to overdo it in that regard. So yeah, I mean, like really going back to our roots and finding that happy balance across the macronutrients of proteins, carbohydrates, and fat, it enables us to stay lean, eliminate our cravings, eliminate our bloating, and feel good. And there's this whole component of gut health, which comes in with this style of eating that helps your gut to really function at an optimal level as well.
And before we get to the gut piece, because I think there is something there to talk about, you know, Corey Beth brought up an awesome point. Like if you prioritize protein, the chances of you overeating carbohydrates or fat significantly reduces. So this is why if there's protein on your plate, start with that. Don't go for the thing that might necessarily be tastier, right? The carbohydrates or the fully fat rich food. Go for the protein first, right? Fill up on that.
And we then get it. We get it because I literally was sitting across the dinner table from him. Then a couple of nights ago, I made some like a delicious organic chicken. I forget what vegetable we have. Maybe it was string beans, maybe it was broccoli. And then I made rice. And it's so funny because like nobody's judging anybody else at the table, and certainly not when we go out with friends. They always think we are, but it's like I'm worried about what's in front of me. But I'll notice with Mike, he like goes right for the chicken first. And I still to this day, I mean, doing this for 12 years now, I'll still go for the rice first. Sometimes I'll go for the green bean first, but honestly, I don't ever go for the chicken first. It's always after I've had a bite of rice or after I've had like some of my vegetable. So it still is training yourself to go to that. So I just want to be really clear. We don't expect you to be perfect. We certainly don't, you know, proclaim to be perfect. Mike is close to perfect just because of his discipline. I mean, seriously, like you're very disciplined, which is very admirable, which is why people look up to you. But yes, it is training yourself to prioritize that protein. So I'm with you. I get you. And I still go for the rice, sometimes the string bean first.
All right. So now let's transition just for a moment into the gut piece of all of this, because one of the follow-up questions that I got after Suzanne had posted this was, and where does the purple pill fit in? Right? Because we've been doing a lot of talk around the purple pill. Next week, we have our GBX Fit 5-day kickoff. So really excited about that.
Wait, before you say anything else, let us know if you want to get access to that. So that will not be necessarily hosted in the group that you're in currently. We want to make sure you're in the correct group for that. So just drop, I think it was free. We're just going to say free. Just drop free, and we're going to get you in that 5-day free GBX kickoff. That's going to gear people up for a really cool program. So free, just drop that.
All right. So now where this fits in is Corey Beth had made mention earlier of the fact that, you know, eating in this keto type way, right, this unrefined, maybe low carbohydrate type of plan, it's really good for your gut health. And that is one of the other added benefits of eating in this style. But where the purple pill fits in is that we have spoken a lot about the fact that this targets the microbiome that is responsible for triggering the hormones that lead to fat. I'm doing a lot of connecting dots today, aren't I?
Good.
Right?
It's great.
But that's the honest truth. I mean, as much as we have always preached, hey, fat loss or even fat gain, it's a hormonal issue, right? It's a hormonal issue. And so that's the root of the problem for many people. But the root to that root is really your gut microbiome. And now where the purple pill fits in, it's acceleration, right? It's acceleration. You are finally getting that gut to heal in a way to trigger those proper hormones.
Correct itself
So that you're triggering those hormones responsible for fat loss. And the challenge is that even if you are currently taking a probiotic, even if you're taking the ones that we recommend, it's not specifically targeting that microbiome. Okay. Yeah. It's definitely correcting things in many different ways, but we want to get as specific as possible here. So this is the purple pill fits in terms of helping to accelerate all the good habits that you are currently putting in place or will put in place. You are accelerating that result and actually deriving the full benefit of the efforts that you are putting forth.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most great analogy for this is this. Your microbiome, it's your large intestine. It's your gut. Like that, it literally is what's absorbing all your nutrients. It's what moves things along to be absorbed into the bloodstream or excreted out of your body. Okay. And it's kind of like a remote controller. It's that gut, your gut, it pushes the buttons that actually signal things up that make things happen in your body. And what most people don't realize is oftentimes our gut is pushing the wrong button. Store fat, store fat, store fat. We actually want to push the button that says burn fat, burn fat, burn fat. And by putting the right strains, because there's thousands of strains of probiotics, and you're really, SOL if you have, let's say, loose bowels and you take a probiotic for like constipation. And now you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like that's a disaster. So we really do have to be specific about the types of probiotic strains that we're using. And the ones specifically in this quad biotics, that's 4 pre, pro, post, and phytobiotic, thank you, enables your body to start pushing the right buttons that say burn fat, decrease inflammation, bring down the bloat, decrease the cravings. It's pushing all the right buttons on that remote that signal up to your brain or the rest of your body to do the things that are going to make you feel better, clearer, more focused, less bloated, less craving, and make the habits that are good easier for you to implement.
Great analogy.
Thank you.
The person who loves having a remote control in his hands. I mean, that made a lot of sense to me. So
you got to push the right buttons.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, hopefully some of you guys got some value from that today, especially if you were following a similar type plan already. Maybe this gives you a little bit more insight. For those of you looking for more insight, hey, we're always here.
Drop free if you want access to that 5-day kickoff. So that starts on Monday. I don't even know the date of it. 20-something, right? 24th? Is that it, Mike?
I think so.
I think it is. Okay. Monday the 24th. So we're going to be in that special group Monday the 24th all the way through Friday the 28th. And then there is a challenge that's not hosted by Pure Physique, but we're encouraging our Pure Physique people to get involved with this challenge. And it is using the purple pill. And there's some really outstanding prizes at the end of it that we are pretty excited about. I mean, there's cash. There's Apple products. I mean, there's some.
I wish I wasn't in the pilot so I could do this one and actually walk away with something.
Let's go eat some cheeseburgers. All right. Anyway, guys, have an outstanding day. We will catch you back here again tomorrow. And again, just if you want access to that free thing, somebody just dropped free. I know we're going to see a bunch of those. We'll make sure that we add you to it. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. You're going to see some of our trainers and fitness clinicians in addition to just us, even though, we love hanging out with you. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great one.